go. We're going to go ahead and get started with our next presentations.
Not yet.
You know, we talked earlier that we really regret having to be virtual instead of in person. It would have been really nice for everybody to sit in a classroom or in a room with our next presenters and just do things and network and, you know, just have about an hour and a half to just, you know, have a lot of fun and learn a lot. But today, as I had mentioned earlier, we're just kind of hoping to whet your appetite with hearing some of the great things that are happening, some of the great things that can happen, and hopefully you guys again will network with these presenters. But we have three presenters with us today. We have Dr. Jeff Schultz with a C, inside joke here, yeah, with a C, who is the Fine Arts Coordinator for Tuscaloosa City Schools. So I always get those confused. Tuscaloosa City Schools, right. Val Jones and Alicia Larson, who are from Guntersville. They are all educators and passionate about the arts. And so I'm going to stop talking so you guys can hear about the great things they're doing. So Jeff, I'll ask you to start us off.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm in an esteemed company today. This presentations have just been amazing. So my presentation is a little more targeted to those of us on the ground working in the public schools, trying to get our arts and education programming up and running. I'm the Fine Arts Coordinator for the Tuscaloosa City Schools, and I'm happy to have good support. But as Mr. Meadows pointed out, we are always just an administrative decision away from changing the path of success in the arts. So the advocacy never ends, and diving deeper never ends. So I'm going to share my screen and then have a short presentation for you. And hopefully my contact information is there. The Tuscaloosa City Schools is a majority Title I school system. Somewhere plus or minus 70% of our population would be eligible for Title I funding. And we are proud to have comprehensive arts programming, including music and visual art in all of our elementary schools, though in multi-school situations and still not quite year-round, but we at least have a little bit there. So I'm here today to talk about our experience with our AAEI grant with the Alberta School of Performing Arts. And when the school was founded after the tornado of 2011, it opened with a goal to transition the learning from very traditional instruction to more arts integrated learning. We are still just at the beginning of this path of transition, but part of it was that we were able to attend some different professional development conferences. And one that I attended in Washington, D.C. by the Kennedy Center was just very powerful for me in terms of being able to bridge the gap between arts and non-arts and get them talking about quick and easy ways to begin that arts integration conversation. So I call this Templates for Success. I have just 4 short learning targets for us today. We're going to talk a little bit about the what of arts integration, 1 slide, and the why of arts integration, just 1 slide, and we'll do a few on the how. When I present this workshop to our different schools and faculties, it's generally about an hour long, and the how part is really quite hands-on and involves a lot of discussion and a lot of moving around and getting to know each other. But today we're going to really compress that down and just focus on the templates a little bit. I do want to credit the teaching artists of the Kennedy Center, Silverstein and Lane, who presented this to us and also gave us permission to spread these resources far and wide, as long as we credit them. So credit where credit is due. And we'll finish by just sharing a few of the resources here. First of all, their definition from the Kennedy Center of what arts integration is something I consider to be quite definitive. Arts integration, those two words can get thrown around quite a bit as like, hey, we're integrating the arts and it's exciting, but we're maybe not doing it quite at the level that really serves both subjects. And so this definition helps us zoom in on that, of what it really is. It is an approach to teaching, and students will demonstrate understanding through an art form. And that's very important. In order to demonstrate that understanding, they have to construct something. And the second sentence helps us to know that they're going to engage in a creative process. They're going to create something that connects an art form and another subject area. But the bottom line is that it's not really arts integration if we don't meet the evolving objectives in both. And that's really, really critical. So you'll see these words kind of come up throughout the presentation, and in these different templates, you'll sort of see how that activates itself. A little bit about the why. The Venn diagram on the left shows 3 different ways that we get the arts in schools. The one on the left, arts as curriculum, if we have arts specialists. The one on the right is arts enhanced curriculum, where non-arts teachers might use the arts to try to help students learn. And then when you smash those 2 things together and you get the arts curriculum or the arts standards, meaning the non-arts standards, and you smash those together, that's when you really get the fireworks going off in the brain and true arts integrated curriculum. Just a quick shout out that the Every Student Succeeds Act has changed our language, though we're slow to adopt here in Alabama, from core to well-rounded education. And this is inclusive of the arts and music. And one thing this conference has helped us all know is that the arts truly matter. So the first look at a visual representation of that really lengthy Kennedy Center definition is, again, students engage in a creative process, that giant yellow bubble down there, that meets evolving objectives in an arts subject and a non-arts subject. So it's a little bit easier to just see how that works. And then a reminder that if students are engaging in a creative process, there's going to be a product. They're going to create something. And that product is how they are demonstrating their understanding. So now as we get to the templates, just keep that in mind, that the product is really, really important to make that determination as you're going about figuring out how to add the objectives in. This is my interpretation of a different template that they use. One thing that they see where our comfort are with integration. The icon at the top, the visual art palette. Are we more comfortable with music? Are we more comfortable with theater? Are we more comfortable with movement or dance? And of course, media arts is in there too. But whichever we have the comfort level in, or we have the resources, the personnel, or the teaching artists that we can access, those are the people who help us determine those arts product. And I'd also say that when I work with faculties on this, this is where I see people go off the deep end, because they're so excited and they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to create a musical and our students are going to make these backdrops and they're going to paint them, and then they're going to write their own songs and they're going to write their own theater on stage, and a mom is going to come and teach choreography for the dance, and they get all excited. And the truth is, that's wonderful, but we're going to get very, very far away from meeting objectives in both subjects when we start to get into that much activity. So we really encourage people to know their strengths and to play to their strengths, and to also zero in on one arts area to really let that arts product be a demonstration of understanding. So let's look at an example of how this looks. Oh, let's say that we need some help in geometry, and we have a 5th grade teacher who has an arts background from college and also does summer arts camps. So she's just really well versed in how to teach art. They put their heads together and determine, well, hey, artistic collage would really help the students demonstrate understanding of some of these geometry concepts that we are trying to get through with them. So what you might end up with then is a product that looks like this. If the students are going to demonstrate that art is a way of knowing geometry, here on this painting, we see a lot of geometry. I see everything from shapes to lines that are parallel or intersecting, which creates complementary angles. I see right triangles. I see right angles all over the place. So I see a circumference in circles and a diameter when it's split through the middle. There's all kinds of learning that can happen with geometry from this, but also if you look at the art standards that are being met, we are mating shape, form, line, organic, non-organic, geometric, and then we look at the color and shading and texture and form. There's just so many different art standards that are all being met here as well. So it definitely, we have to acknowledge that art is a way of knowing, and this becomes how we also tell our stories, is that we then use that art to display their knowledge and show how much they're learning about both subjects. Here's the part where we dive in and get very, very interactive. And so what I would want you to do today is to ask yourself which art form you're most comfortable with and kind of think in that zone, or maybe your head goes in a different direction and tackles another one. But I want you to determine what arts product would you use to have students determine their understanding or demonstrate their understanding of the water cycle. The water cycle being what? Precipitation and evaporation and condensation. So which one of those would you go with? And I'm going to stop presenting for a moment so that I can go back and let's get into the chat box. And can you type in there something that would indicate, for instance, whatever art form you're interested in. So you might say music, oops, and then we're going to write lyrics for to go with a song that's going to make that. So let me pick your brain. Let's take about 1 minute and see what kind of ideas can you put in that box in terms of using the arts to connect to the water cycle. Keep it simple. Rainy days and Mondays. Oh, goodness. And you see how quickly people start coming up with these ideas. There's even, oh, look at that. Characteristics of phrase of part of the cycle and band. So it's not just an elementary piece, but it goes through all of our grade levels as well. Absolutely. And again, you guys who are here, I'm preaching to the choir, but when we're working with teachers in our schools, they're especially the non-arts teachers, they are pretty overwhelmed with accountability measures in our state. And it is difficult to get them to think about just coming a little bit off the track and using something else to help students demonstrate understanding more than a test. And it's difficult to overcome that, but you can see how quickly the discussions get going. So I'm going to come back. I need to present just one more time so I can finish the presentation. I wish I was smoother at this, but in COVID, we do the best we can every day, don't we? And so that's just an example of the templates that we use. Now in an actual workshop, what we'll do is go a lot deeper. We'll take it to the next level too and actually identify school-wide themes or grade level themes that they really need some work on, possibly work on connecting them with different teaching artists or identifying within the staff who has that experience that can do that for those products. And then we really get into the nitty-gritty of determining what those standards are that are going to be met in both. Just a quick look at the resources from today. I highly recommend the Kennedy Center's website. It's certainly gotten a lot more user-friendly recently as they've redesigned it for education and then resources for educators. In addition to the excellent arts integration workshops we have in the state of Alabama that I've also included below, the Arts Integration Conference for the Kennedy Center happens annually in Washington, D.C., and also somewhere in the Midwest at a different time period, but I strongly recommend attending if you, and that's a great thing for using with your AAEI grant. Reach out to your regional arts collaboratives because they're involved in this work as well. There's the Alabama Arts Alliance here, our lovely hosts. They've got resources on their website for lesson plans, for arts integration, as does the State Department or the State Arts Council in the alabama.gov resources piece. Our Alabama Institute in the summer, the week-long Institute in Arts and Integration, is a wonderful resource also for teachers to dive deeply into immersing themselves in an art form so they can become better at integrating that. And again, if I can help you in any way on your journey, if arts integration is part of your school's journey, I am happy to help you. I can come and work with grade level teams, or I can chime in virtually, or we can host workshops or do whatever we need to do. So my information is there, and I wish you well on your journey. And as I tell my team every time I meet with them, go Arts, go. Now, if I can just stop sharing quickly, we'll be back right to it.
All right. Love it. Go Arts, go. That's great. Val and Elishaba?
All right, everybody, we're gonna share the screen here.
Well, yeah, well, where are we?
You got
Here
it.
we are.
Okay. Girlie, we're like not on the right slide here.
All right, let us know if you can see it.
Yeah, but it's not the right one.
And we're going back. Here we go.
Okay.
Templates.
I'm telling you, Jeff, you were fabulous. And it's like, we're going to reiterate everything you said.
We were going, oh, that's our slide. That's
Okay.
our slide. So good
We
thing.
have the examples to go with it. Okay.
Take
Great
over the
job.
role. Let's do it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm Val Jones. I'm a visual arts teacher here at Gunnersville High School.
And I'm Elishaba Larson, our media specialist.
And what I'd like to do is we're going to tell you a little bit about an approach to teaching that encourages collaboration with another content area teacher, that allows students to demonstrate understanding through an art form. As a visual arts teacher, I teach content area every day. A lot of people don't realize that. I teach math, I teach science, social studies, language arts. I do measurement, physics, algebra, chemistry, biology, ecology, history, political science, economics, geography, and in language arts, we do the same thing that they do when they're doing the writing process. We do like the writing, we have idea, research, sketching, revising, review, editing, and presenting. But I'm not the expert in those content areas. So therefore, that's where collaboration comes in, okay? Aligning the arts with other content areas, what it does is it draws on students' prior knowledge. It gives hands-on learning, authentic problems for students to solve in divergent ways. And it arranges for opportunities for students to learn from each other and enrich their understanding. They're going to remember what they've done in science class if they went ahead and did something that dealt with one of the 4 disciplines of art to do it. Okay?
So just because you have a shoestring budget, and we are almost at 50% free and reduced lunch rate. So what we would like for you to think about is, how can you pool your resources? How can you collaborate with other teachers in the building that may be receiving supplies or funding through various ways that could help the STEAM area? And again, you can see our 50% free and reduced there.
Okay, I love this slide. It's a jargon. No, it's really not. STEAM kicks STEM up a notch by integrating art with science, technology, engineering, and math. And one thing you need to understand that happened here at Gunnersville is that we had a really fantastic engineering department. Then they started into Project Lead the Way. They had a lot of outside funding. They were allowed to start it because it was outside funded. We grabbed a hold of that engineering teacher and we said, hey, you know, this is what else we need to do. And she's all about it, and she has drug a lot of other people into it as well. So now we are doing STEAM, which is absolutely fantastic. I love that woman.
Can you tell we're excited?
Okay. All right, this diagram shows the creative processes and how students learn, how they learn, and how all of the processes intertwine. Learning is actively built. You're experimenting, it's evolving, it's collaborative, it's problem solving, and it's always reflective. And you can see that happen in that diagram. Okay. So where do I go from here? Where do I start? And this is what Jeff had said in his previous slide or in his show, that you've got to have that concept, and then from the concept, how do I grab a hold? What does that concept, as the content area teacher, what concept can I grab a hold of, and let me get with those arts teachers and see what I can do to make that more concrete for that student, okay? Make it meaningful and relevant. And will any of these disciplines help? I've also given you, from my perspective, a visual arts viewpoint, what artists work very well with different subjects. For math, you've got a whole list here. There's thousands out there, but these are just the easy ones to go to, and you can find information on them. And that's a piece by Vasily Kandinsky for mathematics. For artists for reading, poetry, and literature, I pulled one that was from Grant Wood, The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. For artists for science, the Hudson River School's artist, Thomas Cole's painting of the Oxbow River, and you have a comparison contrast between how that river looks today versus how it was painted back in the 1800s. It's very much changed. We have artists for social studies. Oh goodness, this goes on and on and on. And to the very right, you can see the image of Migrant Mother by Dorothea Lange. And at the top, you can see Jacob Lawrence. Okay, when you get a time to look at these slides, you really need to take the time to click on this. It's very exciting to look at as far as what's happening in mathematics with Kandinsky. We added that in there. And
Here's where I come in. So my background is not in art. So it was super exciting when Val came to me and said, let's collaborate. So you've got to seek out that person in your building who is excited and has a little bit of a passion for allowing the students to learn in various ways, because not everyone, as we all know, learns in the same way. So here's where I come in. I'm pulling the resources. I'm the liaison between Val and the other teachers, and our choir teacher and band teacher, of course. And like Jeff was saying, you've got to stay organized. If you don't stay organized, we can have all these wonderful ideas, but they never come to fruition, or we trail off into some other land of la. As creative people, we do that sometimes, but have a plan. This is the old creative planning organizer that the State Department came up with decades ago. And it's still in use today, and it's still relevant. So have that plan. And as a library media specialist, I go by the AASL's standards, and all of these standards mimic the creative standards that Val was talking about, inquiring, including. So they all just sort of join together. And I found a curriculum planning kit from Education Closet. I put the link in there, so when y'all get time or you get the presentation that Donna's going to send you, please visit that link, because that curriculum planning kit has a great guide that you can step 1, step 2, and sort of keep somewhat focused and standards based as well. So in the library, and I'm sure your media specialist, before I fall the stool, has talked to you guys about maker spaces. This is your opportunity in the arts to jump in to the school system with that maker space and collaborate. So it goes beyond engineering and STEAM. This is about creating creative people, y'all. So there's some books and literature that you can get, a Kickstart guide to maker spaces. And Maker Maven is a great website to go to. And this is sort of what gets us passionate people, working with the students. Book art. So Val and I were collaborated together with our economics and our English teacher with their regular classes. And we did a little book binding, and I hope you can see well, I actually have a slide. Let's see. So this is an advanced student, and this is a special education student. To me, they really don't look that different. So the outcome that we wanted to receive was pretty close. Inside, you can see the difference, though. You can tell a little bit, but still the outcome was pretty amazing. This was just a reflection on the book Fences. So that was neat. We got to add that in there. And then,
wait, I didn't, okay.
Check this out, the Infinity Book.
Okay, and this involves math. I just thought this would be great for poetry. This is a lot of mathematics and a lot of thinking to keep sequence sequencing and keeping your things in order. And I'm doing it not looking at it, so I hope I'm keeping things in order. And it just keeps folding and tells its story. This was made out of file folders. Lots of measurement to get there, and it was a lot of hard work.
And she also has an explosion box that
Oh,
they
yeah.
did with To Kill a Mockingbird.
And you open this and it explodes. And I have pieces that were inside, but there's so much symbolism. If you're teaching symbolism, you've got all the pieces on the inside. We've got Atticus. Notice how the back, all the outside parts are in black and white, except for this one, it's red. And then this is a quote. You have to close it to read the quote. You never know. You never really understand a person till you walk in their shoes. And that was done through English department. I had done them out here in the art room, and I shared it with the English teacher, and she did it with To Kill a Mockingbird. So I've done it with books before, and I had an old book I cut up for that project.
But how does this happen in the day-to-day? Because Val is out here teaching 7 periods, and she actually has to travel between schools. So how does that get into the English class? When does she have time to do that? That's where that collaboration comes in. She sort of passes her knowledge to me, who's at the school all day long, and I can utilize that information and pass it along and be there with the English teacher when it happens. So we're in that co-teaching, and then we have our advisor who may not be present but very active in the project.
Oh,
Clay whistles. Come on, music.
Oh
people.
my gosh, this is all about physics. They work. They work. We had engineering. We had the physics class out here for this. And we even made ocarinas in my class.
So much fun. But look what these kids produced. Okay,
Yes.
Can y'all see the fish that's a speaker
Oh,
for your cell phone? I mean, the kids are doing this. It's so
Okay.
cool.
okay. And there again, physics, because as soon as it starts to play, it amplifies the sound.
So neat.
Okay. And
It may not
we
fit.
brought the physics class out here to do that project, and they loved it.
It was so much fun. Oh my goodness, it was so much fun. Well, let's see. Whoa, next slide. What are you doing? There we go. I did it.
Okay. And I learned several of these things at the Alabama Art Education Association. And I did this with the physics class. This is a sample.
It's a pendulum painting for physics. Success. That was the comment from the teacher. Success. Right there at the end. And the students were excited about it. So in the library, we do have a Lego wall, as many libraries do. And what I have this is the group of students that worked on MLK, and we've seen this before. And we talked about the art of Lego, and here's a really good book. It's linked in the speaker notes when you get the presentation. But the students had so much fun, and it was interesting to see how they would pick up each period. Like they would start with one Lego, and then they just stare at it for a little while. And it was like a week later before the next one was put on there, because trying to collaborate with people that aren't there at the same time, and you're having to pick up from the person that left off, it was an interesting journey for those students. And how do we create one project when you're not side by side the whole time?
Yeah.
So that was a learning experience for them. And of course we did that. We can do it there. And right now we're working on RGB. Or RBG.
I didn't know that's what you're doing. Okay. I'll hold your book.
So pop-ups, you guys, COVID happened and we didn't get to finish this one, but we started with the concept of pop-up, and we collaborated with the elementary school 5th grade students. Okay, so the 5th graders wrote their story, and then the art students developed the puppets, the characters for the story. And then in March, we were working on the scenery, the scene that the story was set in, and we were going to present to, the 5th grade what we had created, but COVID got in the way there.
Right. And that's why I still have puppets here. But they had to take what the descriptive writing was from the 5th grade students.
Songwriting. So sometimes I feel like music gets left out a little bit, but I found this really cool device called the iRig Pro, and we've set up a little mini recording studio in the choir room. And so if
That's
you
so
have
cool.
someone who wants to be a songwriter, maybe they're not wanting to be the person on the stage, but they have a passion for poetry and songwriting, they can go down there and they can write and they can create in a safe zone. So check out the iRig Pro. I think it would be helpful many ways. And the Makey Makey is probably one of my favorite little tools for blending technology, coding, engineering with any discipline. It's that concept of design thinking. And this was so much fun because I got to teach them about design thinking and learn basic code. And our students came up with projects like this.
All right, guys, what did you make?
Made a guitar tuner.
Guitar tuner. All right.
When you touch the string, it'll play the key of that string that you want to tune your guitar to. So, E. Okay, a little bit. A. D.
That's awesome.
G. And B. Yeah.
Excellent. Good job, guys. Thank you.
Oh, our lights went out.
Our lights went out, but that's cool. So that was a really neat moment because the students had to think about something that would help their community and the people within their community.
All right, guys, what did you make?
Okay. Cultural Outreach is a branch off of Artists Responding to Students. This is a local organization that is in supporting the school systems in our county. And Cultural Outreach, what we do is we do a 2-day project with students that include all 4 disciplines of the arts. And this past year, well, I'm sorry, not this past year, but we have it last year and the year before, we included the engineering department, so we turned it into STEAM as well. And they make robots and the students move around, so therefore they can see, oh my goodness, engineering is almost an art form as well. So they get to see how we use it on a daily basis, which is really, really exciting. Okay, community outreach. This is I'm very passionate about this. I usually set up for my students to go to the local nursing homes, and we've gone to the cancer center 3 times. What we do is at the nursing homes, we've set it up that we come in and teach a craft to the residents once a month. And at the cancer center, we've gone in and we helped a healing process with cancer survivors. And we did a lot of painting with them. And I'm saying the reason this really assisted us was we did this at no charge, but the foundation turned around and sent a very hefty check to the art department to help for any of our equipment and just to put some funds back into the arts. And I thought that was outstanding. I didn't ask for it and I wouldn't have done that, but I thought it was a really neat way to say thank you. It was a win-win situation. Hopefully when COVID's over, we'll be able to do those things again.
I hope so. So we also learned about how to create 3D models and sculpting. And there's a free program out there called Sculpt GL, and it's just an online program that you can use. And when we talked to our engineering teacher about this, she was on board with us coming into her classroom and utilizing her 3D printer. So that was amazing. We got to utilize her printer there, which is a big resource that we didn't have.
And that had come through Project Lead the Way.
And we designed ornaments just in time to be hung on the Christmas tree that you see there. And last but not least, dance. Please don't leave dance out. It is an amazing, for physics especially, and we were talking about fluidity and flowing and water and just creation of lines and geometry. There's a lot that you can do. There was so many resources I wanted to show you, but with our time constraints, please click on the links there. With technology, if you have the ability to use Adobe Effects, you can do a scribble or a glow effect. connect with whoever you've filmed, and you can see the lines that are created as your body moves, and there's a link there that you can check out. But y'all, there's so much out there. You just got to check out one idea and go with it and stay focused on it. Don't go out into la la land like we said, but stay focused and your results will be amazing. Your students will come back and they'll say, oh, Miss Jones, remember when we made those whistles in physics? You know, that was really a neat thing. So
this is our contact information. I am always available via email, and I'm always happy to help somebody or talk them through something or share a lesson plan. That's an easy thing. I do answer those usually by the end of the day.
And we've been so excited, and thank you so much for having us.
And for this opportunity. This has been exciting. We could talk all day. The slideshow's a lot longer, but we hit a lot of them. So when those resources come out, you'll be able to get a hold of those and look at them.
Thanks, you guys.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It was so inspiring, and to just watch y'all. You are so enthusiastic about and passionate about what you do, and you just look very happy talking about it and talking about different projects. Yeah, we really enjoyed listening to your presentations for sure. Nice, inspiring ending to the summit for sure. We do have a comment from Andy Meadows. We have time for a few questions. If anybody has any questions, put them in the chat box. But Andy Meadows, he mentioned that many schools have created sound studios with the AAEI grants and have created upper level music courses and or created media arts classes to use the studio, which is very inspiring. Donna Pickens, she would love for you to share your list of artists versus art disciplines, which, you know, I just found that totally fascinating too. I want that list too. Just seemed very appropriate, the artists that you had on the list. And Dusty asked for you to share your presentations. And so, yes, we will be glad to do that on our resource page. We're going to fill that resource page with all kinds of good stuff. So, yes, if you would forward that to us. Donna King is in Hamilton, and she says, sometimes it just falls in your lap. We are starting our second year, and the APs at all three schools just got appointed to coordinate the program. We pretty much run the whole program at our schools, so they are so thankful for Melissa, Stacy, and Andy for helping them get off the project off the ground. In addition, we have some great contract teachers that are fabulous with the students, and she's at Hamilton Schools. So, yay! Let's see what else we have. What do we have? Andy Meadows. You are rock stars, I see. Melanie Brannon said amazing presentations. Tell us about the form for credit once more. I wonder, is that the form for collaboration maybe? No? I don't know what she means. Melanie? Could you speak up and tell us what form for credit you wanted to hear about? I did like the idea of having a forum, an official forum for collaboration, to just have it established.
Yeah, if you don't mind, just tell me where that form is located.
The collaboration forum?
No, ma'am, the form for credit today.
Oh,
We can get in touch with Andy,
Gotcha. Thank you.
and Andy can let you know about that.
oh, the resource page. We can share that link with you again. It's on the Alabama Arts Alliance website. There's a link on the summit page where the agenda is located and the presenters are located. there's a link towards the bottom where you can click to find the resource page, or you can just find the link from the menu. It's also, yes.
We can put it back in the chat window before we're done. So I think we're going to go ahead and move forward because we are running a little bit behind schedule. So thank you, ladies. That was great. We really appreciate you. And Jeff, we appreciate you being with us. And like we said earlier, we're hoping to be able to build on some of the information we got from everyone today and have longer workshops so people can participate in those. We've talked